Let me introduce you to an overview of our core cooking lesson, the methods of cooking. It is my belief that everyone needs to learn the methods of cooking at a minimum. While I think our other lessons will continue to grow your knowledge and impact the dishes you create, it's the methods of cooking that are the foundation to build your culinary proficiency. I also believe this course should be taught in every high school. You should not let your child go into the world without this knowledge. A chef is an alchemist. They can turn straw into gold. It was in culinary school that I first heard this quote, and I've repeated it many times since. People are always amazed when someone can go into what appears to be a barren pantry, refrigerator, or freezer, pull out some minimal ingredients, and turn them into something delicious, a culinary masterpiece. I assure you, they're not alchemists or magicians. They simply know what the personal chefs can teach you in this program. The art of cooking was so mystifying to me, and my view of a chef was just short of a superhuman. How could someone know so much about food? When I started going to culinary school, I thought that because there were an infinite number of recipes in the world, to master cooking, you had to learn a million different ways to create these recipes. One for each recipe, right? There were millions of cookbooks read. I owned at least 200 and read more than 1,000. That, however, just isn't the case. All those infinite number of recipes that exist are prepared using only 4 methods of cooking. You know when you're trying to learn something new and you can't put the pieces together and have them make sense, then something happens and a light goes off and it just clicks. Well, that is what learning the techniques in culinary school did for me. It made everything click. It was truly the core of my learning to cook. The methods of cooking are the core, the keys to unlocking the secrets of being a chef. There are 4 methods that comprise the core of cooking. That's right, just 4. Not 4 million, not 40,000, not even 400. There are 4 methods from which almost every dish on the planet is created. That fact was mind-blowing to me. It was like the curtain was being pulled back, and the chef or wizard was not the great and powerful. They simply knew something I didn't know yet. You probably know how to do some of them, if not all of them already. I know I did, but I was only partially correct. The difference is in the details and how to execute them. The secret in mastering the art of cooking is by doing the technique the same way every time, perfecting it. And since you can cook almost every day, you get lots of practice and can make that happen much more quickly. I guarantee you, you will never look at a recipe the same again. You will use recipes as inspiration or ideas for flavor combinations, and you will execute it using the methods of cooking the same way every time. These 4 types of cooking include every term you have heard in preparing food. What we do in this program is truly make the complicated simple. And by complicated, I don't mean that they are actually complicated, but the perception is that they're complicated. It is in the food industry's best interest that the perception of cooking is complicated. It's a barrier to competition by making the food they serve elevated or perceived to be something anyone cannot reproduce. That simply is not the case. We can teach anyone in a relatively short period of time how to be an excellent cook and the chef of their kitchen. Here's a brief review of the 4 types of cooking: convection dry, convection wet, conduction, and radiant. That's a brief introduction to the methods of cooking. We look forward to seeing you in the kitchen.